And hello and good evening to TGP1 Season 38. This is week one of a brand new season. Now, it's an interesting one. I'm not there, of course, so it's going to be interesting, let's just say that. Although, all jokes aside, it should be a fantastic season. We're starting off tonight in Bahrain as well as Saudi Arabia. So we've got, a circuit which is quite technical, with Bahrain, slow and medium and fast corners. And then Saudi Arabia, you want as little wing on as possible to give you the maximum straight line speed. Now, as you can see, most drivers, well, half of the grid realistically, have already set their lap times. At the moment, no surprise, VFR Glock on a 28.455. Now, he can go a lot quicker. I know for a fact the pole position time will be a mid to high 27. I'm going to say around a 27.7 to a 27.9. Probably I'm going to go in the middle, 27.8 we'll say. I know that, Glock can do a 28.9 in multiplayer. And I know I'm able to do a 27.7 myself, so I'd expect him to be around that. Surprisingly, Kai SF1 in P2 at the moment, only a 10th off so far. So that's never, he started his run well. He's got a good banker in. Roy Scorer, the dark horse of this season. Oh, and there we go, as we see Luca Chiapelli going for a bit of a spin. Very easy to do. Tyre temperatures on this game, and in this season we've actually turned the tyre carcass on, so now you can't just run max tyre pressures and just wing it and get good straight line speed, good reactions. You've got to actually do a bit of practice to find out what the tyre pressures really are. So you need to watch out for that. I think the skill gap, because it's on, is going to be a bit bigger, as we see a Red Bull in the background going completely off. So that's not really what they want. But yeah, tyre carcass is going to be key this season, along with getting a good setup that is fast and consistent, as we see Wet Lemons going nearly 2/10 up on his time in the first sector. Good lap from him. He finished last season very strongly, but I'm getting off topic. So tyre carcass anyway. It's going to be important. It's all well and good getting a great setup, but if you do not nail the tyre carcass and the tyre temperatures, it's going to be all for nothing. It's too high, you're going to overheat. It's too low, you're not going to have any heat in the tyres, and either way, you're going to be going for spins, which is not really what anyone obviously wants. So people need to be careful with that, and especially on lap one when there's the cold tyres there. So anyway, Jovial Manatee is currently sitting in P3 on an outlap still. He is, at the minute, a dark horse this season. He's been getting fantastic starts off the line. Ridiculously good starts. I think I think it's medium TC and he's nailing the starts, because I can't, no one can seemingly get as good starts as him. As it's going to be an interesting one, and what we're going to do, we're going to jump on board with VFR Glock for this lap, because we know he's going to be up there. And here we go then. Bit of a tighter line into turn one than what I was expecting. Short shift to fourth and fifth. It seems quite slow, but that may just be the camera angle, as we see a car ahead of him, of the Haas, getting out of the way. Into turn, well, technically it's turn 4. Very easy to lose the rear end and go wide. He does it nicely. And is he going to be up on his time? He's nearly a 10th up as Dan the Man goes quickest at the minute. Through this left-right, very easy to lose the rear end and down into this right-hander hairpin. Very easy with no ABS to lock the brakes, but he doesn't have to worry about it. Most people in TGP do use ABS, so they're not going to have to worry there. Bitch corner is what a lot of us like to call it. Very easy to lose the car, understeer, oversteer, but he did that quite nicely. Maybe he wanted a bit of a later apex, but I don't think he'll be too bothered at the minute, as he's only half a tenth off the fastest lap. Uphill left-hander, very easy to understeer up here when you first get that on the power, and this right-hander, no issues there. Penultimate corner, and he's 2/10 up. Very easy to get on the curbs and lose it, but he did that quite nicely. Slightly a different line than what I was expecting, but either way, he's on course for pole. You want to take as much curb on this left as possible to open up the corner and try and sometimes try and ride this exit curb, but be careful, it can spin you. And up to the line he goes, and it is going to be pole unless something mad happened. And there we go, a 28.2. Not quite as fast as I was expecting. There were definitely a few mistakes there. However, I'm sure he'll be happy the fact that it is on pole, as we see Dan the Man. I do believe. Let's have a look, shall we? Dan the Man, I believe, is on an out lap, so we're gonna ride on board with him. If the Alpine ahead of him does get out of the way, it's showing him on 0 lap old tyres, as well as Kai. And actually, you know what? We're going to go on board with Kai, as Kai is on a flying lap at the minute. It is P4, and he's 2/10 up on his time. So if he continues this, he's going to go into P1, which obviously is going to give him a good start. I don't think we've seen everyone's hand, let's say, yet, but we'll see. Into the final corner, slightly misses the apex. Although, nice on the exit there. And coming to the line, what is he going to do? And there we go, a 28.3, a very good lap time from himself so far. And let's have a look. Matt Tibos then. Matt Tibos is apparently 3.2 seconds up. However, it doesn't look like he's using any years, so he's not on a lap. He's on an out lap at the moment. Luca Chiapelli, though, is on a flying lap, so we will ride with him at present, and he's just about to go into the final sector, so we're going to see. Oh, and he's got on the curb. There we go. This is what I'm talking about. You touch that exit curb and he's actually damaged his wing there, so poor from him there. And we're going to go on with the next driver behind him, Alistair Bain. Had a few decent races last season, did Alistair. However, it never really worked out. He showed a bit of pace here and there, but sadly... Oh, and never mind, there we go. Alistair going round. And this is what I'm talking about. Chances are, this isn't because people are just, bad at the game. This is probably down to the fact that the tyre temps are getting too high. People haven't practiced. People are just jumping into it. They're not going to see that. As here we go. New Zealand Cam around the final corner. Seemed nice and easy here. Let's see, what is he going to do? I'd assume it's going to be P1 or P2, and there we go, it's P3, so not too far behind. He's in that ballpark. That's what he wants, really. You don't want to be too far out. And anyone else on a lap? Waze, didn't even realise Waze was racing, so here we go then. And obviously Waze has invalidated, so he's not on a lap, although it does appear to be an out lap with 0 laps on his tyre potentially. So yeah, it's a bit of a lull at the minute. New Zealand Cam is on an in lap. CJH, well, he's not using any years, so obviously he's going to be on an in lap as well. So there is a bit of a lull at the minute with this. So I think ERT Jordan done 150 plus hours on this game so far from what I've been seeing. I do like to keep up with how many hours people do on different games. It's just a little hobby that I like to do. I just like to see where I compare, because everyone calls me sweaty. So, I like to see if it's truly the case. But yeah, ERT Jordan, not really, shown the pace in recent seasons. He's had the odd sort of lap where he's done well. And here we go. We can see Ollie Hart for some reason starting his lap right behind. I think it was Jake Davies, and it was, yes. So he's started his lap right behind someone. Not really sure why you'd do that. I mean, okay, yeah, you get a slipstream, which, I'll be honest, is pretty much non-existent, at least in the races, as well as the DRS effect. So, not really what he wants. I'm sure that would probably cost him a bit of time, although he's P14 at the minute. A 29.8, I'd expect him to go a bit quicker. Again, Ollie also had a few sort of races last season where he showed a bit of pace, but it never really came to him. And actually, a surprise, I'd say, at the moment, Jack Pearson, P8 on a 29.1. Now, Jack Pearson can do a 28.9 consistently, so I don't think he'll be too happy with his own lap time at the moment, but is in P8 at the minute, so I don't think he was expecting to be that high up. And here we go. Ollie Hart is nearly 3 to 4 tenths up. It was actually 4 tenths, I think, up on his current lap time. So that should improve him, I think, into the top 10 if he nails these last few corners. And it looked nice and simple there. So here we go, across the line, Ollie Hart, and he does go P10. So that's nice for him. And I do think Dan the Man then is about to start a lap. And obviously I don't think we've got anyone really other than Paul McGuinness, who's invalidated, actually on laps. So let's go on board with him then. Let's see how he takes this circuit. Obviously 320 kilometers per hour, 24, 25. So they're all running about the same wing levels compared to Glock, at least Dan the Man is. Very easy to invalidate or get a bit of oversteer and catch yourself on that curve, but no issues there. Pulls himself to the right just to try and open up that right hander in turn 4. Nice and easy. Hit that apex, don't hit the curve too much. Seemed nice, a bit wide, but you can get a bit better of a traction. Is half a tenth up and purple in that first sector. Be careful of this curve on the right, it will still kill you, so be very cautious. Bit of understeer at this hip and then a bit of oversteer on the exit. Not quite where you want it to be. This corner, the bitch corner, you can either take a late apex as he is here or a tighter apex and bring it out. Not too bad. I think it could have been potentially a bit better, but spectator cams aren't always absolutely accurate to what is going on. Uphill left-hander, drops it to 4th. Sometimes you can short shift into 5th to give yourself a bit better traction. There's a yellow flag ahead. There is an Aston Martin ahead. He's well off the track. That shouldn't distract him. And actually now Dan the Man has lost a bit of time. He's now a 10th down on his time. So we'll see if he can get a better last corner than what he has done to try and gain that time back again. Look, using all that circuit. You need to be careful though. Certain setups, as we've got an Alpine a bit in the way there starting his lap, I don't think that would have cost him too much. He's a 10th down, but that is it. And we're going to go on board with Glock. Glock then is a 10th up on his lap time. Still not quite there, but there are time to be gained through these next few corners from his onboards. Title favourites, I would say Glock is the title favourite. Jack Hickey, who finished, I think it was 2nd to me last season, he's been struggling a lot sort of with this game so far. He's not quite been at the level he wanted to. He does have some personal things going on, which I'm not going to discuss. However, his mind has been elsewhere, so it's understandable. But Jack Hickey not been quite where he wanted to be. New Zealand Cam, he did well last season. Very inconsistent though, but he had good pace, as Glock is nearly a 10th up going into this penultimate corner, or he's just gone through it actually. And he may be getting a bit of a slipstream, but again, slipstream is not that strong, if at all, on this game, which is a shame. So here we go then, Glock to the line, and there we go, a 28-1, and that will be, I would be surprised if that is not pole position. Here we come, Kai across the line. Is he going to improve on his lap time? Yes, he did, a 28-1, a quarter of a tenth off pole. That is very surprising. I'm very surprised at that. And here we go then. Here comes Cam. Cam has sadly invalidated, so that is a shame. Its teammate Luca Chiapelli is into the pits, and here we go then. Where is it? Dan the Man across the line. Doesn't improve, a 10th off, unfortunately for him. So yeah, and that is pretty much the session over. We're just now waiting for Luca Chiapelli to retire from the pits. A new thing for this game, which many or some people may not know as well. You can start whatever tyre you want when it comes to short qualifying. However, again, little known fact, if you use all 4 sets of your soft tyres, you will start the race on one of your worn sets. If you only use 3 sets and keep 1 spare, you can start the race on a fresh set. So we'll see how that plays out. Some circuits, you don't get a chance to use that 4th set, so we'll see. But here we go then. Pole position, VFR Glock, no surprise there. Very good, strong pace from Kai at the minute. Only a quarter of a tenth off. Jack Hickey, very surprising from him. He was struggling. He is 2 tenths off, but it's better than what he expected. New Zealand Cam, I'm sure, was expecting for a bit more than that. I'm sure he was expecting a top 3. Dan the Man ahead of Jovial Manatee. Jovial Manatee, qualifying has not been his strong point around Bahrain practice. So we'll see what he can do in the race. He does get fantastic starts, so we will see him, I'm sure, up by 1 place off the line. Phil Bargewell, very impressive. He's been doing dancing a lot, so I'm sure he's pretty tired, so he'll be happy with that. Alistair Bain, P8. Disappointment though, Matt Tibos, P9. He is usually up there. We saw it last season. He didn't quite perform as needed. Only P9. 8 tenths off pole position. That is a huge margin, but I do suspect people are still getting used to the cars, to the setups. I mean, I've only done a bare bones setup for Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, so we will see what how it unfolds in the future and future race. We've got 2 races tonight, so we will see. 30 seconds to go before this race starts. Now, again, as I said, I think Roy will get Dan the Man off the line. Roy does get some fantastic starts. Gonna be honest, no idea how he does it. I'm just blaming medium TC for whatever reason. And medium TC on this game, I don't really want to advise this. Don't turn it on, you peasants. Medium TC doesn't seem to actually have any disadvantages on this game, which is quite surprising. So yeah, if you're struggling, you run medium TC. But here we go then. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and Glock is starting on the mediums, and so is the Kai next to him. So here we go then. What's Jovial Manatee? Jovial Manatee getting a great start. Ooh, bit of contact there. He's up to P4, and New Zealand Cam has had a terrible start. But here we go into turn 1. VFL Glock, nice simple. But we do have Jovial Manatee trying to dive up inside, and he spun. Oh my god! So that is not really what Jovial Manatee wanted, or even Glock, really. He got a great start, Glock did, and then Jovial Manatee decides, you know what, I'm going to go up the inside. I don't know whose fault that was because I didn't see, unfortunately, so I'm not going to, judgment as Dan the Man has disconnected from the lead. Dan the Man, what a shame. And somehow, Matt Tibbos is into P1 after all of that, after qualifying 8/10 off pole. Is in the lead, so I don't know what's gone on. Yes, that's quite a start to say the least. But I don't think Glock's going to be very happy with that, and I'm sure that will probably go to the stewards after. I think it may have just been Jovial Manatee getting a good start, cold break, cold tyres, having a bit of a moment, really. But we've got a bit of a gaggle of cars, really. No one's too close at the minute. As we say that, we've got Phil Bargewell has actually dropped a few places, I think. JD and Jean. Now, actually, from what I can see, we've only got 2, 3, 4. I'm talking rubbish now. I think 4 TGP1 champions. We've got Jack Hickey. Oh, I'm talking rubbish even. Never mind, Matt Tibbos is one as well. I'm just going to shut up. We've got multiple TGP champions on this grid. So here we go then. Phil Bargewell, not really so far being able to get past Jonas. I think Jonas may have been using a bit of hers, and he has. Jonas has got 54% hers, while Phil behind him has got 84%. And here we go. Is he going to use his hers now? Yes, he is. Is he going to make it up the inside? I think he will do. Is he going to be able to outbrake him? He should be able to. And here we go then. Oh, it's 3-1. I tell you what, fair play. Fair play. Oh, there's a bit of contact there. Fair play, though. I was expecting a big crash. As we got Dan the Man. Has Dan the Man rejoined? He hasn't, sadly. So Dan the Man is still going down that field. This has been an issue with Dan the Man. His internet has always been pretty poor, which has been costing him a lot of places, to be honest. And so far, there's not really any battles. I'd say the closest battle at the minute is Kai and Alistair. And Alistair's up to P3, so I'm not sure if Kai's made any sort of mistake or Alistair's just far better at the minute. But they're both on the same amount of hers, so we'll keep a lookout for this battle at the minute to see how this goes. And they're both using their hers, so this is what I'm talking about. If you both use your hers, it's quite difficult to get past unless you're running sort of different wing levels, which could be. You can run low ones, but you need to be careful as Alistair is in the pits already. And I think Alistair's on the medium, so that's a very early stop. Unless he's going on the hards or he had damage or something, but that is pretty unfortunate for Alistair, unless he's not realised he started on the hards. But anyway, back to the race. A few people have pitted Ollie Hart as well. Glock up to P4. P14, should I say, is Dan the Man does rejoin, and actually he's behind his teammate Jack Pearson. Will Jack Pearson make it easy for Glock or not? We did see last season that oh, and there's a car round, and that's Paul McGuinness. I don't know if he was battling with Luca or not. I'm not going to speculate on here, as VFL Glock is really trying to get past Jack Pearson. 71% ERS, so he's not used too much. However, Jack Pearson is only 10% ERS lower, so Jack Pearson actually, for once, doing well with his ERS management. But Matt Tibos is in the lead by 1.6 seconds. No point looking at him or Jack Hickey or even Kai, to be honest, because they've got a bit of a gap. Wet Lemons, though, P4. He's doing well. I haven't helped him with any setups this season because I barely know any setups. As it's getting a bit tasty with Court. I don't know if Court actually has closed up on the back of this trio. I don't think he was ahead, that is for sure, or that would have been very surprising. But yeah, here we go then, and Jack Pearson is trying to get... Oh, and there's a McLaren there, as Mr. Chipley has sadly spun. I'd assume he caught that inside curb or exit curb. And here we go then, as CJ has actually used up all of his ERS, it seems, and actually all of it completely, not just this lap, as Jack Pearson is going to try and go around the outside, as Glock goes up the inside, and this will get pretty nasty if we're not careful, and Glock holds it around the outside. Bit of contact there between the Mercedes, and Court has not, sadly, got the jump on that. I don't think Glock will be too happy about that, but I don't think Jack Pearson meant to do that, sadly. But this is probably the closest as Paul McGuinness pits, and I think Ollie Hart pits for a second time. I'm not sure why it is, maybe he got damage. But this is probably the most tasty battle so far. And I'm surprised, and this is what I was referring to. The fact that the ERS is so powerful, but the DRS's Glock's gone very wide there, and that has allowed Coet to get past him. So, you know, Glock's race goes from bad to worse, and I don't know if Glock's getting potentially frustrated or not, or it's just the cold tyres. They do take about half a lap. And there's the spinner there. Waze has sadly spun. I don't think that was a particular battle which caused that. But there's not really any. And actually, Jack Hickey's closed the gap on Matt Tibos just over a second. You really want to get within that second just to get something, as Jack Pearson has got past CJ, and so is Court, and Jack Pearson is in the pits then. That's going music to Glock's ears, and CJH has still not got any ERS, but he's still got some damn good straight line speed, and that's going to allow, and I can't even use the cameras there, and sadly for CJH, that move has cost him a place to Glock, and here we go then. Is actually CJH going to go up the inside of Glock? He's run out of ERS, so we'll see, and he does go up the inside. As fair play to Glock, he holds it around the outside, he holds it stern, and thinking good day and goodbye. So that is a good little move from Glock there, and Phil Bargewell is only 3/10 behind Jonas. So we'll see if there's any move coming up anytime soon. Obviously neither of them are using their ERS. However, Phil is definitely running a bit less downforce than Jean, that is for sure, and Jean's got significantly less ERS deployment on that one, so I think Jean is potentially running a bit too high of a downforce setting. And don't forget, guys, if you run more downforce, you get less deployment back, you get less recharge. The lower downforce you run, the more recharge you get, because you're on those straights for less time, as Matt Tibos has peeled into the pits, as that releases Jack Hickey into the lead. I don't know whether that will make much of a difference. As here we go then, Glock onto the straight using his ERS. Glock got mostly all of his ERS compared to Court, and it's going to be a nice easy move, nothing to write home about there. You'd expect, no offense to Court, you'd expect Glock to sort of breeze by at some point. We've got Dan the Man in the pits. I think Dan the Man has obviously taken control of his car a few laps ago, so that's good. I think his P12 at the minute, it's not too bad. It could be so much worse, but yeah, not really what he wanted. He got the perfect start with the carnage that was going on, and there's a spinner there. There is a spinner I saw, and that's JD going for spins again. And I'm pretty sure for JD, it's not the fact that he doesn't know how to drive. It will be the tire temperatures. JD hasn't really played the game a huge amount, in the sense of, some people do a bit of practice here and there. Some people don't. As we've got a bit of a battle here between Luca and Waze. But yeah, again, I think the tyre temperature thing is good. I think it definitely adds a bit more skill to your driving. I do think it means that the people who don't touch the game until the night are at a bit of a disadvantage because they don't know what tyre temps to run in. Again, if you run too high, as Jack Hickey pits from the lead, if you run too high, you overheat the tyres. If you run too low, you don't heat the tyres up enough. So yeah, Wet Lemons has also pitted, and there is a yellow flag, and it is, I believe, Alistair Bain has spun. That's the second time I've seen him do that, and there we go, he's spun again, down to tyre temperatures. As soon as you spin, your tyres temperatures are through the roof. It's probably quicker just to pit once that happens, to be honest. But yeah, and here we go. We've got Jovial Manatee in P16. Not really what he wanted. I said he was a dark horse, so we've seen Alistair spin yet again. But yeah, Jovial Manatee, not really the race start he wanted. I mean, it was definitely the race start that he wanted, but not the first corner that he wanted. Cost himself and Glock a very good haul of points. You know, I think at the minute though, Glock, I don't even know if he's pitted. Let's have a look. No, Glock hasn't pitted yet. So it's only the top 6 that haven't pitted so far. So yeah, we'll see where Glock comes out. I definitely think Glock will probably be ahead of Jovial Manatee. There is a fairly significant half a lap difference between them. But let's have a look then. There's not really any battles at the minute. JD's gone up 10 places. Fair play to him, even with some spins. And here we go then. Phil, I guess we're not going to get a battle. Phil's gone into the pits. So that's that's always what you want. And then here we go. Glock is up to P3. He's staying out, I think, as long as possible. He's probably hoping for a safety car of some sort. The safety car on this game is very, very prone to, and here we go. I think JD's just letting everyone pass because he knows there's no point fighting. My tyres are just cooked, as we've got Jean in the pits. Here we go. Here's Jack Pearson after having pitted ahead of Dunlap, not by a huge amount, but here we go. Then Wace has been overtaken by Luca. Massive difference in ERS, 46% for Luca, 10% for Waste. And this is a thing, as Luca nearly loses it there, that may be a corner cut, sort of warning that he got there. And no one's actually got any penalties yet, which is surprising. I think they're more fighting the car rather than fighting the track limits at the minute. Yes, this is a thing with this game. You tend to lose your rear end very easily, as we see Waze or even JD spinning again. I don't think his setup is working particularly well, to be honest. So, yeah. So there's not really any close battles. Most people are around a second off. Although Jack Pearson, I say that, I think has just let Dan the man go, and I think he's going to try and use his slipstream and DRS to try and stay with him, or he made a mistake, either or. And actually, one thing I want to see after the pit stops, Jack Hickey has closed up nearly a second on Matt Tibbott, and he's within the DRS. Let's have a look at the ERS. Matt Tibbott has only got 12% ERS left, while Jack Hickey has got 33, and I actually think Matt Tibbott is running quite high downforce by the looks of that. Jack Hickey did not, by the looks of it, from what I saw, use any of his ERS on that straight. And here we go, he is using it now. He's going to go up the inside, is he? Yep. Matt Tibbott is not even going to fight it, if I can get the right hat. He's going to try and hold it around the outside, although you're only going to ever run out of room, as I think Paul McGuinness has spun, as JD gets a 5-second penalty, unfortunately. But this may actually play into the hands of Kai. I know Kai was a few seconds behind Jack Hickey and Matt Tibbott, but it does look like, unfortunately, Matt Tibbott does not have the raw pace, as we've got a yellow flag, and it looks like as Jean has gone for a spin. No, it must be his teammate. Alistair Bain has gone for another spin at that same second to last corner again, unfortunately for him. So yeah, it's definitely been a race full of spins so far, which I think we was all expecting. We've started the league earlier than normal because the game is in slightly better condition, bar a few bugs, which is unfortunate. And there we go. The top 3 then have now pitted, and I do think these two, Jack Hickey and Matt Tibos, will maintain P1 and P2. But I don't think it's going to be as big as they wanted, as we see Kai coming out of the pits pretty much right behind, and he's on the soft tyres as well. So we could see potentially not Jack Hickey winning, which we may have thought after a few laps ago. It may be Kai, although, actually no, saying that, Jack Hickey and Kai have around the same ERS level at around 25 to 29%, so it's now going to be interesting to actually see if Kai can win his first TGP1 race. You know, he's shown a few bits of pace last season, but wasn't quite there consistently or for the most part. But we're going to see. We're going to see. It's 1.9 seconds to Matt Tibos, as we've seen. I think JD has had a bit of a moment at the second to last corner, and he's actually spun, as you can see on the mini map to the right. I always like to keep the mini map on so you can see, you can get a bit more of an idea of what's going on. So, yes, 1.8 at the minute. It's not really closed up as yet, although I do know the tyre around Bahrain is not particularly great, as Matt Tibos has actually stayed within that DRS detection zone, so he'll get DRS. Again, I've said it a billion times, it's not that effective, if at all, and the fact that Jackie's got a bit more ERS, so it has meant that Matt Tibos can save a bit more than Jack Hickey. But again, I just don't think Matt Tibos' straight line speed is anywhere enough to catch it. And all you need to do is, we've seen, I think JD spun it yet again. Yeah, I think you can see that on the map, to be honest, rather than cut into it. So that's a shame, as we've got CJH on Luca Chiapelli up the inside, nice and easy. He's on the soft tyres compared to Luca's medium, so you'd expect that. And no offence to Luca, I'd probably say CJH can be quicker than sort of half the field, but I think they are both running on fumes, as Luca thinks about going around the outside, but doesn't quite manage it with his tyres. So that's a nice little battle. You've got to be careful on that inside curb on the right and the left, because it is very easy to sort of unsettle the car, especially since you run them so stiff on this game, similar to real life, as well. As we've got Glock only 4 tenths behind Jean, as we've got a yellow flag, and I think that may just be JD on the right hand side. Yes, it is, just keeping out of everyone's way, as we've got John's had a bit of a moment there, or he may have actually let him past. Not too sure why you'd let him pass, though. I know you're not fighting him, but just let him overtake you on the straight rather than purposely slowing down, as JD's got another penalty, sadly. And Kai then is 1 tenth behind. I didn't see this. Up the inside, both got ERS, although Wet Lemons actually is not anywhere near there. It's both Hassers. The Glock sets the fastest lap. He's really going for that point there. And Kai is up to P2. However, Jack Hickey's got 30% more ERS than he does, so I think, okay, yeah, you're going to have a pace advantage in the corners, but all Jack Hickey needs to do is deploy his ERS on the straights for a few seconds. Don't even have to use all of your ERS on the straights. Use it enough where you get that gap, and I'm sure in a second Kai's going to be derating once it goes under that 10%, and then you lose a lot of straight line speed. So I think he's got the pace, Kai has. Just does he have the straight line speed and the ERS lot? Even now, Jack Hickey's just having to go defensive. He doesn't need to use his ERS to defend, but he does need to be careful, though, because it's very easy to, not necessarily to crash, but to trip over each other. I did it with Corey twice a few seasons ago when racing for the lead, sadly. But yeah, it does happen. It really does, and it is easy to do. But we'll see if Jack Hickey can hold off a young Charger. I'm sure he's desperate for that first win. And look, if I was Kai at the minute, I'd save my ERS. Stop using my ERS, because you're not going to get it. Once you're under that 10%, okay, yeah, he's got straight line speed, but Jack Hickey can just come back at you a lap or two's time, or on the exit, use a bit of hers and straight back past, and you've just used all your hers. Save it for this lap, and then have one last go on that last lap. Although he's not doing it. Is he going to go up the inside? No, he's going to go around the outside. He's thinking about it. Jack Hickey's probably going to run him out of room, although it's pretty tight. It's pretty tight there, side by side, and Jack Hickey is just about holding on. Is it going to be tight? Yes, it is, and this is allowing Matt Tibos to stay. Is Matt Tibos saving his hers? Yes, he is. Matt Tibos has saved a lot of hers. As unfortunate from Kai there, and that is, I'm sure he's now not going to get a podium with that wing damage, as his teammate Phil Bargewell goes past, and I'm sure he's probably going to drop down to 6th or 7th at best for him there. I think it may have just been a case of not realising sort of the grip level that you've got compared to the cars around you. I'd have probably just waited, to be honest, rather than that. But unfortunate for Kai, that is a win he will not be getting, although he doesn't need to worry too much. Okay, yeah, it's one win that he's not going to get. However, he's shown good pace this race. It may just be Bahrain, it may be just 2 races, it may be the entire season, as VFL Glock then is right behind Kai and Wet Lemons. This could prove quite dangerous as Kai does go off, and I think, is Kai going to try and pit us? Oh, he nearly loses it there, does Glock. Very easy to lose it randomly, but is the Haas going to defend? He is, but I think Glock's going to go up the inside. No, he goes around the outside. He's going to have the grip. He should do. He is on the fresher tyres there, and he's on the softs, and that should be the move done nice and easy there. And that's going to allow EOT Jordan to get up the inside of Wet Lemons as well, and that's another position lost by Wet Lemons. However, it's the last lap. That should be the only one, as Wet Lemons actually goes back up the inside of ERT Jordan. So fair play. Are they going to collide? Please don't, guys. It is the last lap. It is a nice little battle if the thingy would work. And he's thinking about going on the inside. Not quite there, as it has been an entertaining, we'll say, Bahrain Grand Prix so far. A lot of spins. I'd say not a lot of collisions, which is good, as Kai goes off in the background with no wing. But yeah, we're actually going to go with the leader. I'll see Jack Hickey. It looked like it was going to be Matt Tibos who's going to win after the start, getting that 1.6 second lead after the first couple of laps. But unfortunately, Matt Tibos didn't have the pace, although he did a great start with the chaos at turn 1. And here we go then. Jack Hickey, an unlikely victory, it must be said by himself, wins the first round, is the championship leader of season 38. Matt Tibos comes home P2. Phil Bargewell, again, unlikely, same as Jack Hickey, P3. VFL Glock, a very good recovery drive, as we can see the Alpine of Kai having a meltdown in the background. EOT Jordan, I mean, I think I jinxed it in qualifying that he's not really showing the pace. P5, I think he will definitely take that. Wet Lemons, P6, very good from Wet Lemons. I know last season when he was my teammate, he did state he changed a few settings on his pad just to help him, and it seems to have worked. Kai, he's going to be disappointed with that, and I don't blame him. He did a great race. He did all he could. It's just that last little bit that he was missing. Jean, maybe a bit disappointing there. I think Jean has struggled so far on this game, like a lot of people. Dan the man, P9. What can be said? He was looking good. Did he have the pace? I mean, let's have a look at the lap times that people did in the race. A 31.4. Okay, yeah, he's a second and a half off of what Roy is on the fastest lap Jovial Manatee, but I'm sure Roy probably just pitted and saved all his hers. So he's doing the same lap times as the people around him and the faster drivers. So I think Dan the man, it's a shot that went away. We'll say on that one. Unfortunate that he disconnected. Phil Bargewell does get the driver of the day. Fair play. I don't think many people really care about the driver of the day, but end of the day, he got it. That's what matters. And here we go then. Jack Hickey walking down towards the podium, very happy. And obviously he should be. He's been struggling a lot with the car, with the setups, with the feeling of the car so far on this game. But yet he wins the first race. Not really much more you can ask for. He did very, very well. And there is his team. I'm sure his team weren't expecting that. Spray that champagne, spray it while you can, because the next race, Saudi Arabia. It's going to be a difficult race. People do say it's a wheel circuit. I think it's probably a bit easier in the first sector to sort of get the lines right. But, you know, it's all a case of, okay, wheel circuits and pad circuits, how much does that actually gain you? But there we go then, Jack Hickey winning the first race of this season. Couldn't ask any better. Matt Tibos, Phil, Glock, P4, EOT Jordan, Wet Lemons, Kai, Jean, Dan the Man, Court, P10, very good drive from him. I'm sure he'll be not too fussed with that. Jack Pearson, you know, where we'd expect, but, you know, he did a relatively solid drive. CJH, I think we'll be a bit disappointed with that. Mr. Chiapelli, Roy Scorer, Jovial Manatee in P14, not really where he expected. The fact that, you know, Glock finished P4 as well. Ollie Hart, I think he'll be quite disappointed with that. Waze, you know, no offence to Waze, he's not really been one of the quick ones. Paul McGuinness, I think will be quite disappointed as well. That JD, Iranian champion, Alistair Bain DNF, New Zealand Cam, very disappointing. I must say, you know, you want to start the season strong, so it gives you less pressure. And so far, a DNF to start the season, it's not what you want. Again, it is only the first race. You know, you could have everyone else DNFing, you know, for example, at Saudi Arabia, or getting damage and you winning, and then, you know, it's all turned around. But, you know, you're just putting so much pressure on yourself. And I think we saw last season, specifically from Glock and Cam, inconsistency. Got very, very good pace. However, they do get into incidents a bit too often. Whether it's their fault or not, you know, I'm not saying whose fault it is, but you're in that position where you can get into incidents. And unfortunately, New Zealand Cam, not the start he wanted to. But Saudi Arabia then, the second race of the season. It's definitely more understeery than the last game, at least with a quickly hashed together setup. Straight line speed is going to be vastly important around this circuit. You want to run as little wing, I'm sure, as possible, but ensuring that you're not losing too much time in the corners. I think it's going to be very important for people to find that right setup. Yeah, Sector 1, very easy just to either lose it. I think that double right-hander in Sector 1 just before where Mick Schumacher lost it, that's actually very easy to lose the rear now. And I think actually that whole left, right, right, left section in Sector 1 is actually very easy to lose just the rear if you're not careful, or your setup's a bit oversteery through fast corners. So it's going to be interesting. I do think as well tyre temperatures are going to play a massive factor in this race. Rule of thumb, I'd probably say for the guys that have been spinning due to overheating tyres in Bahrain, you're going to want to lower the tyre pressures vastly for this race, or you will be into a barrier immediately because the tyre temps, fast corners, they're going to heat up more. So I think we may see more crashes around here, unfortunately. Fingers crossed it's not the case. But if any of you people listening that are racing, turn your tyre temps down or prepare to just be, you know, racing to make up the numbers, because it's not going to be a good feeling for you. So we are loading into the session qualifying. It is Saudi Arabia. I don't think it's going to rain, although I have seen in other league races on the last game there is a chance. So I'd probably be very optimistic, let's say, that it would rain. It's not going to happen. So just waiting for people to ready up. And let's have a look. So Jack Pearson has actually sent me a video on Snapchat of the start. Obviously down in, he actually went around the outside of a lot of people, fair play. Yeah, and actually Jack Pearson gained massively from that start, and then he got spun sadly on the exit of turn one. So he got a great start with everyone. I think everyone ends up going to the, sort of the middle and the inside of the circuit. Jack Pearson right around the outside of turn one, but then just got tagged in the rear. And it did look like, from Jack Pearson's point of view, it did look like, unfortunately, I think Roy had a bit too much understeer and just sort of tapped the side of Glock. But we'll see if that has any effect after tonight, if it does get reported or not. But more importantly, Saudi Arabia, the light is green. Everyone's still in the pits. I think everyone's getting their setups ready. And here we go. We can see, I think that is a Williams coming out. There it is. Yep. We've got a Williams coming out on the circuit. We've got Mr. Chiapelli in the McLaren. Bit of lag there, which is always nice to see when you're coming out of the bits as well. Just so everyone knows, if you think this camera angle is horrendous, it is the default camera for the offset T-cam. I do need to change that at some point. So we've got a few drivers out. Johners, Mr. Chiapelli, Ollie Hart. It is Ollie Hart that is the lead car. So we'll ride on board with him. If you notice as well, on this game they've actually updated the circuit so that that the curbs and everything are right now. Not that it really matters, because they're just painted on the actual track limits that you need to concern yourself with. Other walls, very easy to get wing damage here, especially like this corner here. You want to get as close to that wall as possible, and even here, understeering into the wall, it's very easy to get damage. And to be honest with yourself, I think wing damage around here, okay, yes, it's going to help you because you're probably going to get better straight line speed, but because of the fast corners, you're not going to be great. This curb here on the right, on the last game, you could ride it without worrying. If you're not careful, it will spin you if you ride it too much. So, word of warning for drivers with that. So here we go then. Ollie Hart will ride on board with him. Never mind then. I'm not too sure. Is he trying to get a better exit onto the straight? I don't know if that is actually legal, because he's using more of the circuit than I'd say what is allowed. Although not my rules, so we'll see if that is legal or not. But here we go then, through turn 1 and 2. Here we go, this corner coming up here, you want to cut it as much as possible when you can get away with it. This right-hander, very easy to lose the rear end. This left-hander, try and take it as tight as possible, or you'll understeer like that. Take as much curb here, up against this wall, much curb here, but unfortunately he has understeered. He did go through it slow enough that it didn't invalidate his lap, so he is purple. You want to try and take an early apex here and just bleed off that throttle, and then try and take a wide exit just to allow yourself to slingshot off the corner and get the power. Keep over to the wall on the right, on the left here. At the, I think it's a 50-meter board, you want to turn in, bit of understeer, bit of hesitation, but a nice exit it seems there. DRS zones have changed. The DRS is here rather than I think wherever the hell it was on the previous one. This corner here coming up, nice actually, very, very nice. He could have took more speed through it, however, that line, spot on. You want to try and keep the left as much as you can here, just to shorten that route. And then you want to brake here just after the 100-meter board between the black sign, the wave, the flag sign, and the 100-meter board. And across the line he goes, stay to the left to give the shortest run, and it is a 30.0. Pole will be, I assume, a high 27 or a low 28. I did not that much. Again, I've barely touched setups. I did a quick setup together. I did a 28.0 with good straight line speed. So I would assume, depending on how many people, and there we go, Ollie Hart spinning, very easy to do with that then. So here we go, Alistair Bain is invalidated, and we're going to get the timings up and stuff, just so it is there. New Zealand Cam is on a lap right behind him. He's going to try and get that slip from his car. Does a 28.8, but they both peel into the pits, and Roy is coming in to the final corner. Roy is able to do a low 28. I do believe he is able to do a 28.1 as his best time. We'll see if that is improved. And he does a 28.9 as a first lap. It's a banker lap. You don't need to, blow everyone out of the water with it. So we will see. And Jack Pearson in the pits. His VFL Glock invalidated his lap time, unfortunately, for him. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get the tyres up just so I can see who is on a lap and who is not. Matt Tibos down in P12. He's done a lap, but it looks like he has invalidated it. So that's unfortunate for him. Dan the Man is on a lap, currently purple. Didn't see what it is. So here we go. Look, take a tight line, try and run out on the exit just to get that throttle traction on. And let's see how he does. He's on a wheel, so potentially he does have that smoother advantage. Not bad. You do tend to get more understeer through there than you think compared to the last game and this next fast chicane coming up. So, it's quite deceiving, really, but we'll see what he can do coming into this split. He's purple, middle sector, so I would assume he is going to go pole position so far, but we will see. A lot of people in the pits at the minute, a lot of people on in-lap, so we'll stay with Dan the Man. Early apex there. You actually need to take an early apex and you think as we see the Alpine having spun. And here we go then. Dan the Man, shortest run to the line. It should be pole position. It's not, a 29.0, so he may have lost it all in that final sector. And there's no one actually on a lap at the minute, unless, no, obviously LT Jordan is on an in-lap. He's on 2 laps on that tyre, so not really what you want. But who is going to be the next? And it's going to be Jack Pearson. I think he's on an out lap, and he's starting his lap. So we'll just go with Jack Pearson at the minute, just because we've got no one else, and we'll see how he does. We'll go on board with him, just see how he takes the corners, just see how good he is on the throttle and the brakes. You want to brake just around the 100-metre board. You want to take an earlier apex, although he has missed the apex quite massively. That's caused him to miss, hit the apex turn 2, but he's not going to get a very good exit out of it. Cut this corner as much as he can. He doesn't do that. It's not a great lap. He's lost a lot of time. Try and keep tight here. Perfect. This is the line that you want through this double left. Run it a bit wide. Tap the wall. It's a bit of a nightmare lap. I'm going to be honest with that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with Alistair Bain instead. Just see what he can do. See if it's a bit smoother. There we go. Early apex. Fling it into that right hand, a short shift to 4th, he keeps it in 3rd, and then let's see if he cuts this corner. It is purely legal as the curb is within the white lines. That's what you want to do there. Keep off this right hand curb as much as you can because it will unsettle the car. Take this tight line through here, perfect, not quite as tight as you'd want. He does run it a bit wide, but it does not invalidate his lap. A bit of understeer through there, and that means you run wide. He had to get off the throttle, which is going to cost him all time throughout this little straight. Into the hairpin, misses the apex by quite a lot, trying to take too much speed in, and that also then costs you obviously time on the throttle on the exit. How do you do for this fast chicane? Doesn't really use all the circuit. I think he may be scared of invalidating. Very easy to do there. He nearly lost it on the exit because the car is a bit unsettled, but he's not set a time yet, so this will be his banker. He is purple, but we know how dodgy it is. Not a bad chicane there, so that should be fine. And up to the DRS, keep as tight to the left as possible. You can keep it tighter, but he goes in the middle of the road, not too bad. Into this final chicane, just after the 100-metre board, earlier apex, there we go, nice and easy. And then short shift and stay to the left. And this should be a nice, tidy lap. It's not a fast one, it's a 30.0, but it puts him 7th so far. Phil Bardwell then around the final corner. It is an out lap, so we won't go on board with him. Here's Glock then on a flyer, and I do believe, I don't even know what time he's done to be honest, but we will see. We'll go off board, give some nice shots there. DRS closed, early apex, short shift if you can on the exit to 4th. No, he keeps it to 3rd. And what is this going to be? I would suspect this may be pole position with the times. Not quite a 28.8 as Wet Lemon says. I think binned it on the exit of the fast hairpin, so not really what he wanted. But here's Roy then, very fast round here. I'd probably say he's probably the favourite other than Glock around this circuit so far. Nice and tidy, nothing too strenuous there. It looked tidy. Was it quick though? Is only 7,000th down on his own time, but he is in P3 on a 28.9. He just needs to gain 1/10 and he'll be on pole so far, but we know he can go 8/10 quicker as New Zealand Cam then goes into pole position on a 28.6. Not bad from himself, not bad. So here we go then. Jovial Manatee, DRS wide open. That AlphaTauri looks a very nice car on this game, that is for sure, with the white into the fast chicane, and he's actually 2.5 up. Nice curb riding there, just within the limits. It's just a case of whether he took that speed through that corner, and here we go then. Keep it nice and tight, that's what you want to do. Run it out to the apex, to the outside, so you get the best run through the final corner. And here we go then, short shift. Get that DRS button ready, open the DRS, keep to the left, make sure you don't cross that line there with one of your wheels, and this should be, and it's only second, okay, so not quite as quick. I don't know whether it's the case of it's the, you know, the temperature of the tyres, or the you know, or the, I don't know, the conditions, let's say, if I can get my words out. But yeah, not quite what you want at the minute, and it does look like I think there's a few people. There we go. Then we'll go on with Luca coming into the final few corners. Luca, P8 at the minute. He is half a second up apparently, so that should put him up one spot, which is quite depressing. You do all that only just to get one spot, but we'll see if he actually gains any more time in this final sector. And he goes from P8 to P5, so he actually gained significant time in that final sector. So you know what? Fair play to Luca. He did well there. Dan the Man is in P6, just starting a lap. Ollie Hart then is going to finish a lap, but he is a second off his own time, so I'm not sure why that is. I think he may just have been saving up the years, doing two sort of out laps. So yeah, and obviously here we go then. ERT Jordan into the final sector is half a second up on his time, so that's only going to really improve him by 1 or maybe 2 places, depending on how he does. He's actually 6/10 now, so he should, and he's invalidated, very easy. That curb is different this season. It's not as forgiving. You can't actually ride it now. You think you could quit it last time and kept the wheel on the curb, and it was fine. Not anymore. It will invalidate it. So here we go. Kai, probably a very good driver in that last race. Nearly won it if it weren't for that one mistake. We'll see what Kai does. He is 1/4 up on his own time. That's not going to put him on pole, but we'll see how much he gains in the middle and final sector. We'll go on board just to give you a bit more of an idea of the lines taken. Slightly missed the apex, but you know, if you get too close to that wall, you probably scare yourself into losing time. But you know, you can only do what you can do. As long as you take the speed through, it shouldn't matter. There's a yellow flag somewhere. That's in the final sector. How's it going to do with this fast chicane? Perfect, nice and easy. That's the line that you want to take. You really want to ride that exit curve, but don't go over it, because that will unsettle the car and you will spin. As New Zealand Cam is still pole, Roy second, Kai a very good P3, and how is he going to do? Is he going to improve that position? He's definitely going to improve his time. Is he going to improve that position though? Is he going to go pole? Is he going to go second, or is he going to stay third? Here we go then, and it should be pole, and it is a 28.4, pretty much a 28.5. So that is a very, very good lap for him. Alistair Bain, P12 at the minute. He's just started a lap, I believe, and there's not really many laps going on. Obviously, we've got JD coming around the final corner. He has invalidated. Waze is on an outlap. So Kai's on an in-lap. A lot of people are in the pits. Jean is 3 seconds off, so that's going to be an in-lap for him, as he's done 1 lap on those tyres. Phil Bardwell done 2 laps on those tyres. I think Phil is, you know, you can do it 2 ways, really. You can either go for, you know, multiple laps, but put more wear on your tyres, but get better heat in your tyres, or you can get less heat in your tyres, but less tyre wear by doing 1 lap. So people taking different approaches. I do think 1 lap is still better. Tyre wear, at least with on this game, or potentially, you know, with the tyre temperatures, the tyre wear is quite severe and quick. So if you are doing multiple ones, then it's not going to be good. And Jack Hickey then is on a lap. So we're going to go off board for this one. See how he does. Nice and easy there into turn one. Get all of that exit curb on the second apex there. Nice and easy. He does have a car ahead of him, so hopefully that Williams does not get in the way. Corner cut that one perfect. Nothing, no issues there. Be very careful of this left right. Keep it tight. The Williams does get out of the way nicely, and he does invalidate it. He invalidates it. I think he did get distracted by that Williams, sadly. Not the Williams' problem. The Williams did get out of the way with enough time. But yeah, very easy to do there. It's unusual because if you do run a bit wider, it doesn't invalidate it. So if you're going to go wide, you may as well go a bit wide rather than slightly wide. Coet is currently P11, and he spun it. There we go. This is what I'm referring to. It's very easy to spin, and we're going to go with Glock, who's 1.2 off. He's starting a lap, though, or is he? No, he's coming in, so he's not really, doing well. I mean, you say that, he's only 3 tenths off pole. But yeah, so Glock's, I wouldn't say he's struggling, as we've seen. Glock's retired. Glock's thinking, nah, I'm done. So if Glock's used all of his tyres that he's willing to, or he's thinking, I can't go quicker, I just can't do it. I think Kai's on a wheel. I know Cam's on a wheel. Roy's on a wheel. Glock's on a pad. Luca Chiapelli is on a wheel. Jean's on a pad. Dan's on a wheel. Jack Hickey's on a wheel. So really, it's a mixed bag at the minute. So I'm just going to say it now. Any of you pad peasants who say it's a wheel circuit, come on. Where's all the wheel users? They're not all at the top, so please pipe down. Anyway, ELT Jordan then, 3 tenths up. Is he going to invalidate at this corner again? No, he takes it very steady. I think it was a bit too steady, to be honest. So we will see what his lap is. And I don't know if anyone notices, but I don't know if my voice has changed, but my voice is giving up. I've not actually talked this much since ever. So if I die, as Jack Hickey's thinking, no, I'm done. And it's only P8 for Jack Hickey. I was expecting more from him. Again, he has been struggling, as sadly, ELT Jordan doesn't actually improve on his. Well, he improves on his time, but not sadly his position. As we go on board with Dan the Man, could potentially have won the last race, but sadly disconnected. But yeah, Jack Hickey only P8. He's got a lot to do with the circuit, as Dan the Man is a 10th and a bit up on his time. That should put him into P5, but we'll see how much more he proves as a yellow flag in the first sector. But that's nothing. So what can Dan the Man do? He is a reigning champion. Well, he's not a reigning champion; he's a champion. I'm the reigning champion. Yeah, so Dan is a champion. Sadly, he's not been at the top much on the PS4 or PS5 era of F1 games. That's probably because he doesn't play the game as much. I think you can definitely gain a lot of time the more time you play. But, I think a lot of us, mid-20s, late 20s now, so we don't really have the time or effort to do that. We've got our own things, but here we go then. Dan the Man, P7 at the minute, a 29.0, comes across the line. What does he do? He improves by 3.5 tenths up to P4, ahead of Glock. So that's not what Glock wants. That's another person ahead of him. The benefit that Glock's got is his potential championship rivals are behind him. I'd say probably bar Cam and Roy, as Phil has had enough. Phil's only in P10, so I think he's not going to be best pleased with that. Jean-Luc Taylor, 2 tenths up, but he has invalidated. Matt Tibos then, let's have a look at him. Possible, as Jovial Manti, there we go, 28.4. Didn't catch that one, my apologies. It's hard being a one-man commentary team. Matt Tibos could have won the last one, didn't quite have the pace, but we'll see what he does. Comes across the line currently on a 29.8. He only improved by 1 position. Not really what he wants. I did say that the last race, and then he sort of led after the first sector. So we'll see. Unlikely that's going to happen this time. And Kai then 3 and a bit tenths up, coming into the final corner. This will be pole position. Going to rob it from Jovial Manatee right at the death. Here we go then. Kai across the line, and it's pole position. It's a 28.0. Hands down, chips down, hands down. I think Kai is surprising a lot of people this season. I think Roy thought, I've possibly got this. I've possibly got this, and sadly not. And I think that is qualifying over. We're just waiting for Alistair Bain to retire in the pits. If you could do that soon, that'd be fantastic. But yeah, another fantastic qualifying, another surprising qualifying. You know, the people that were at the front of the last time, not really at the front this time. You've got Kai on pole by 4/10, and Dan the Man's disconnected again. Oh, hopefully he can get in. I don't think he may not be able to get in for the start, but he may be able to take control after a few corners. But there we go then. That is qualifying, set and match. But yeah, I think Kai is surprising a lot of people this season with his pace, me included. And I'll tell you what, fair play. I don't know whether it's because he's been sweating loads. I don't know whether it's this game suits him. I don't know whether it's he's turned his assists off. It could be a variety of things, but well done, Kai. And here we go. And here is the grid. Kai, P1, 4/10 quicker than Jovial Manatee. Jovial Manatee, I think, will be quite disappointed with his time at 28.4. Cam, not too far off Roy, so I don't think it'll be too bad. Dan the Man is P4, however, he has disconnected, so we'll see if he gets back in. Glock, 8/10 off. I think he'll be disappointed with that, to say it is a new game. Luca Chiapelli, fair play, P6. He's a second off, but P6 nonetheless. Jean, Jack Hickey disappointing. CJH better. Matt Tibos a bit disappointing. Phil Barger, I don't think he'd be too fussed with that. Caught P12, again on the fringes of that top 10. And obviously we're going to go into the race now. Clear skies, or dusty skies, or whichever you really want to say. It is dry. There's definitely not a chance of rain in Saudi Arabia. There might be a chance of exploding bombs, though, so just be careful out there, drivers. But all the drivers then gearing up for the race. 30 seconds to go. You know, usually at this moment in time, I'm sort of stretching my fingers, just making sure I'm in the right, seating position. Making sure my wheel is as straight as possible. I do like just to not focus as such, but just make sure I'm ready for the start, because you never know when everyone's going to ready up and the lights are going to go and the countdown starts. So I just want to make sure I'm ready and prepared. As soon as the lights go on, you get the revs. Usually it's about 13, 14,000, 4 lights and 5 lights. Is it going to be a good start from Roy? I think he's going to get straight into the lead. There he does. Straight into the lead from Roy as New Zealand Cam gets a terrible start. And there we go then. And Dan the Man has not got back in as yet. But Roy Scorer straight into the lead. Again, he gets blinding starts with potentially that medium TC. It does appear to be all clean in the back. There's no crashes, which is very good, very surprising to be honest with yourself, as ERT Jordan has disconnected sadly. So a few people disconnecting so far, but this section of corners is basically one at a time. Kai keeping up with Roy, both not used a single bit of ERS so far, so we're going to see who uses their ERS and who actually has got a good straight line speed advantage. We've got Phil Bargewell not too far behind Finger, but we've got Court and the Williams of CJH going at it. I think Court is potentially going to have this. CJH on the medium tyre, so he's on the better race tyre, but if there's a safety car of some sort, it's definitely a risk. So Court is ahead, as we see CJH getting past, and Phil Bardwell having a bit of a slow corner as Paul McGuinness is out. I think he may have crashed it. And is that a safety car? It is a safety car, I believe. We have a safety car. Is anyone going to dive into the pits? Anyone on the mediums as Kai pits, Roy pits? And actually, Kai did get past Roy. I didn't even see that. Glock stays out. He is on the mediums, so that is the only choice he has. It's going to be an interesting one to see what the right choice is. Half the field have decided to pit, and it's going to be interesting to see where they come out. So it does look like Kai and Jovial Manatee are line astern as expected, so no positions gained or lost for them in relation to each other, so that's fine. Be careful, boys. Do not pass the pit exit or pit entry lines, or you will get a penalty, as I found out in the last Brazil race, the second last race of last season. So just be careful of that. So the race is neutralised. Let's have a look at the tyres, shall we? So The top 10 have not pitted. Although I do think Jordan is disconnected, so he is not actually there, so that's not going to be an issue. Neither is Dan ahead of him, and I don't know if JD is. He is ghosting, or he's just paused potentially. I'm not too sure there. But the top 10 haven't pitted. Glock and New Zealand Cam, as you can see, started on the mediums. Phil started on the softs, and then obviously CJ's the only other one that's not pitted that started on the mediums. So everyone else that has pitted has all got onto the mediums. I'm not too sure what tyre is like around here, to be honest. I'm going to assume it's quite bad with the fast corners and the overheating tyres. So it's going to be interesting to see whether the medium start was the right start, or vice versa. Hopefully the safety car does not stay out too long, and then we can see what decision is the right decision. There's a full 13 laps of this circuit, so the number of laps is a lot shorter, but the circuit is still quite long, and the fact that it is a fast circuit, I don't think these laps will last too long at all. So we will see how this turns out. And to be honest, I don't actually know how it's going to turn out. It's going to be an interesting one. I think the people that have stopped are probably going to have maybe not a pace advantage. So let's say Roy and Glock, so Jovial Manatee and Glock, their difference in tyre is only 1 lap. So there's not really going to be a deficit between each other. It's going to be purely who's got better pace. I think Roy and Kai are going to have a bit of traffic trying to get past the non-stoppers. And again, this is the thing. DRS and ERS not as strong. It's all about DRS and Slipstream, should I say, are not as strong. Which means, if someone ahead of you is using their ERS as well as you, it's going to be very difficult to overtake them. So all the non-stoppers, specifically Glock and Cam, they need to pull away quickly and get that gap, because the stoppers have stopped. They've got it out of the way. They've got a pit stop in hand, but they've got all this traffic. So it's going to be interesting to see how quickly this changes. So hopefully, safety car comes this lap. But car's going very slow. It does appear that sadly Dan the Man has not rejoined as yet. He did rejoin pretty quickly as of the last race. That doesn't appear to be the case. I don't know whether he's resetting his internet or not. So yeah, we've got JD who's possibly disconnected, or he's just ghosted for no reason. Dan and ERT Jordan have definitely not rejoined and taken control of the cars as yet, sadly. So I think that's 2 cars, possibly 3, with JD that are not going to be an issue for Kai and Jovial Manatee. And the safety car then is in this lap. Thank God for that. Let's see then. Is Glock going to jump early or late? Again, with this game, is like the last one, you cannot really dump the throttle until the safety car is actually in the pit. So if you jump now, it's going to auto slow you down. It's infuriating, to be honest. You should go whenever you want. Here we go then, as I'm going to get the tyres off so we can actually see. There we go then. So, and he's going to wait. Glock is going to wait a bit longer. As you can see in the right hand of your screen, this is a very good camera angle, to be honest, but I want to get a bit closer to the action. There we go. And there we go. Glock has gone, and he's got a bit better of a start than Cam. It's not massive, but Phil is far closer to Cam than Cam is to Glock, as we see the Williams going defensive there, obviously against Alistair Bain, but I don't think there was really any worry there, as we see Kai's actually up to 7th, and Roy is only getting past the ghosted cars now. So Roy's actually either struggling with his tyre heat up, or it's just Kai's got a bit better pace than Jovial Manatee. So we'll see how that is. And obviously we've got Alistair Bain, I think, spun again. I don't know whether that is tie attempts or not, as we see these ghosted cars getting in the way of people, as Cam is only half a second behind, and they've actually both got the exact same amount of errs as Cam and Glock, although that was a much better corner from Cam, and there is a yellow flag, and that does look like it is Court, I believe, and it is. Court has spun. Again, very easy. You got to be careful, and that is another safe, and it's another safety car. Lovely, lovely. And this is on reduced, by the way, people. So because someone had spun their car, the safety car comes straight out. Now, on the last game, the safety car was a bit too prominent. It was a bit too trigger happy, we'll say. On 2022, it's ridiculous. If it was up to me and I ran the league, I wouldn't want to turn the safety car off, but I would. And actually, this has helped in some ways, as Cam's got a speeding penalty. Well done, Cam. Well done. That's your chance of a race win over. So, this has actually potentially helped with Glock and Cam, or Glock now, should I say. Because it just means that they're not going to have to worry too much about the tyre wear. They would have probably been hoping for it to be a bit longer before the safety car comes out. But yeah, you know, it is what it is. It's going to be interesting to see if they can come through the field. Again, I think the fastest drivers on this game, it's still the usual suspect: Glock, Cam, Jack Hickey, Matt Tibos. I think now you've got Roy in this as well as Kai. You know, they're always going to be the quicker drivers, it seems. But at a circuit like this, where it's not actually that easy to overtake, if you're using the ERS correctly, it's going to be difficult to really see. Sort of Glock making massive inroads. I mean, we saw at Bahrain, as soon as there's a train of cars, you basically get stuck. So I think on this game, track position is going to be more important than ever. Unless, of course, they, you know, bring out another patch, the 20th in the span of like a week, that actually makes the DRS stronger. I think the DRS needs to be stronger. The slipstream I don't really care about. But yeah, the DRS I think definitely needs to be a bit stronger. Not a huge amount, just enough. But yeah, that's just my opinion. And also another one, Cody's rant time. Fix the goddamn understeer enhancement. That setting, you have it off, and it's still actually on in the game, and it just makes the cars feel fucking horrendous. Apologies for the language. It infuriates me. I don't want that on. Let me have it off again. But, you know, it's typical Code, isn't it? They patch the game and they break it more, which, you know, I don't think it's ever going to get patched to a decent level because Code is. So, you know, please sort it out, Code is, for the love of God. But here we go then. So this is, I think, the second lap. The safety car's out, so hopefully it should come in at the end of this lap. CJH is leading. I don't think he's pitted. No, CJH is the only one who hasn't pitted, while Waze at the back is actually pitted a second time. You may as well, I guess. You know, you've got nothing really to lose. Ollie Hart, 2 stops as well, and so is Mr. Chiapelli, and everyone else is a 1 stop apart from CJH, who is a no stop. CJH can be very aggressive. I definitely don't think he has the pace to halt the drivers behind. No offense to CJH, but he can delay them slightly. There may be contact, you never know. That's always a danger when you've got a car that stayed out from the start while everyone else is pitted. You know, I think a lot of people do it in TGP2, which is, speaking of TGP2, it's on tomorrow, same time as today, just a Wednesday. Make sure you tune in. I think they will have 2 commentators, hopefully. So you'll be able to tune in and watch, you know, I'd say the feeder series to TGP1. Be in for some chaotic racing, I'm pretty sure. I think tonight's racing have been pretty chaotic, so I think it will be chaotic as well for them. So yes, it's so far it's been an interesting night. Although New Zealand Cam just trying to waffle or talk shit now, to be honest. Losing in Cam 15th. He does have that penalty, though. That time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That's any chance of, wow, I'd say a win gone. Podium probably gone as well. Good points, possibly, as the safety car is coming in this lap. We'll see, though, if CJH knows how to work the safety car. No stopping and starting, remember. You want to heat up your tyres, but you do not want to be, you know, well, braking, really. So here we go, then. I'd love to get rid of, you know, all of this, but we'll just, whatever. We'll just do this. So here we go, then. Is he going to go? He's going to wait as long as he can. I don't think it's as important on this game, again, with the slipstream, to wait, but end of the day, if you can go when the next person no, Matt Tibos and Jean-Luc Taylor have collided. I don't know what happened there. As there we go, then CJH has jumped it. Matt Tibos is about to be overtaken by Jack Hickey. There's a yellow flag there for that's something special, but no, Jack Hickey waits as Jovial Manatee has actually lost a position to Jean. Jovial Manatee's tyre warm-up is not very good, it seems. He gets great starts, doesn't get great restarts, though, and that is 2 positions he's lost in the span of a corner, basically 2 corners, if that. So that is not really what he wanted. Ollie Hart has sadly disconnected. He is 9 seconds off, so I think he has had an issue as JD does pick up 8, ignoring yellow flags penalty. So not sure why that is, but Matt Tibos does have a penalty. Matt Tibos is in the wall. Never mind. It's not going to matter now anyway. And that better not be a bloody safety car again. So please God no. So yeah, that was quite interesting. There's a bit of wing there. I think New Zealand Cam is spun. So that's again not really what he wants either. That's just carnage. And guess what, guys? 3rd safety car of the weekend. So in 13 laps, I think probably about 2 of them have been under racing conditions. Now, I don't want to say this, but Dom Smith, if you are watching this, please, for the love of God, turn safety car off, because this is ridiculous. Like, I do not mind having 1 safety car and 1 virtual safety car at max, but when you've got a safety car 3 times in the span of 8 laps, that's just bullshit. I'm sorry, but that is bullshit. Like, what is the point? You can't race with this. Like, it's not about racing, it's about who fucking wins the lottery, to be honest. But, you know, just coders, really, innit? You know, just typical coders. You know, they can't make a bloody game. You know, it's just typical, really. But yeah, it's a safety car. I mean, I hope it is on reduced, because this is a bit too much. I'd probably say this 2nd safety car is probably helped the people that went on the softs to not wear them out, such as Glock. And again, we'll have a look at the tyres anyway, because why the fuck not? There we go then. So 6th and 7th, Chiapelli and Glock, soft tyres. This will probably actually play into their hands, having this 3rd safety car in 8 laps. ERT Jordan is still disconnected, but he's on the hard, so it's irrelevant for him because he's not here. Dan the Man also still disconnected, P9 on the mediums. But then you've got CJH, Phil Bardwell, Alistair, Court have pitted. Matt Tibos did pit because he had wing damage, so this safety car sort of saved him, although I think him crashing and New Zealand Cam crashing is probably what brought this safety car out. So, you know, yeah. I don't really know what to say, to be honest, anymore. It's pretty hard to commentate on a race when there's no racing going on. Yes. I just don't know. I just don't know anymore. Although, this is probably bad news for Jovial Manatee. It seems, as I was sort of briefly saying after that last restart, only a lap ago, it does seem that Jovial Manatee struggles to warm up his tyres. So he gets great starts, which is fantastic for him, but then he gets terrible restarts. So Jovial Manatee needs to just hope and pray that the safety car gets turned off, or there isn't one, so he can get a great start, and then doesn't get a disadvantage from the restarts. But yeah. So yeah. Anyway, I'm going to ask this, even though I can't see the chat if anyone is actually watching, or if anyone's chatting. Let me know what you think of F1 22. Do you think it is an improvement over 21? Do you think it's on par with 21, or do you think it's worse than 21? My opinion, I think it's hard in some ways, and it's typical though, isn't it? In some ways, it's better. In other ways, it's worse. As an example, safety car, way too common. The understeer enhanced setting, I don't like it having it on because it's just very jarring when just all your force feedback just disappears because you're over the limit of grip. I don't like that, so that needs to be patched again. It worked when the game first came out, and then they brought out the performance patch, and it broke. So now it's forced on, so that's horrendous. The handling is fine. I don't see an issue with it. I'm glad they sort of patched it for the actual consistent traction rather than randomly spinning for no apparent reason. Now there's actually a reason for it, is if you clip curbs and you set up too aggressive. The F1 Life, the most pointless thing I have ever witnessed from Codis. No one does it. Supercars. What a supercar? What's the point in supercars? Like, and safety cars in the lap, thank God. It'll be fine though. In another lap, another safety car will come out. Yeah, F1 Life is pointless. It was a waste of time. The supercars, waste of time. Nobody wanted them. I'd rather have classic circuits that are not in the last game, like Portimao. So yeah, here we go then. We're going to go on board with the Jovial Manatee because he's going to get overtaken by about 20 cars anyway, so we may as well get a bit of action. I do like this camera angle, actually. It's quite good, but you don't really see too much on that. So here we go then. Everyone always waits for the last minute, although Kai has gone a bit earlier. That has allowed Jean to keep up slightly. Yeah, so there's not a massive gaggle. Although there's a bit more of a gap between Jack Hickey and Jovial Manatee, so that may help Jovial Manatee actually keep a position for once, which he has. A bit wide there from Jack Hickey. But yeah, so he's actually kept a position. So well done, Roy. You've learned how to drive. So here we go then. A nice tight line from Roy. That's a line you want to sort of take because your car does tend to understeer through that. And you know something? John has done actually a decent job around there to say it's a wheel circuit. As we see Dan the Man dropping down, but that's because he's AI. Same with, I think, JD. New Zealand Cam is 15th. Matt Tibbos is 13th after that, so they've not made progress yet, but it's quite difficult. New Zealand Cam has actually just passed Wet Lemons. Court is right behind, however, as Matt Tibbos gets a penalty there. Court is right behind Phil Bardwell, although Phil's used a bit more Urs. And here we go then. Is it actually going to be a move? It's a pretty dangerous move if he doesn't know it. I think he backs out of it. Jack Pearson has been overtaken by Glock, although Jack Pearson's trying to go back around the outside, and he's going to be using his urges. We've got Alistair Bain trying to go around the outside of Jack Pearson. It's a bit of a bottleneck at the minute as Glock is trying to go around the outside of Luca Ciapelli. I think he will do, although will he? No, not quite. No, not quite. And that's allowed Jack Pearson back up the inside there as Kai sets the fastest lap, and I definitely think Glock's using all of his ears. He is 52%. He's going up the inside. Is he going to get it stopped though? Is Luca going to give him the room? And Luca actually turns in on Glock there, and that's cost Luca a penalty, and it's also cost Glock a few places, and well, quite a lot of places actually, as it's getting a bit chaotic in that midfield. It's very easy to sort of crash in. Oh, Glock is out. Well, I don't really know what happened there. I just think it was a case of Glock went a bit too slowly through that section of corners because of the corners that was happening. So far, it's a bloody terrible start to the season for Glock, and so far no one wants to win the title or get the championship lead. So disappointing. I think that was more. I don't know if it was Alistair and Glock that got together there. I think it was just a case of wheels locking together. So that is unfortunate. But here we go. Then we're going to sort of have a look a bit further up the field. You've got Phil Bardwell looking to regain the position on court, but court's used a bit more as that would have definitely been a corner cut warning for Phil Bardwell as he nearly runs into the wall there. As Jovial Manatee is thinking about going around the outside of Jean, as Jack Hickey is still right up his arse as Kai pulls away. Now, I'm just going to say this. If Kai bottles this, then Jesus Christ, you don't deserve to win a race. As there is a yellow flag, Jack Pearson has retired. He killed himself, so has Waze, apparently. I think that's the limit, though. I think there's 3 safety cars, and that's it on reduce, so at least we sort of know the limit. So yes, Jovial Manatee 4 tenths behind Jean. Is Jean going to get a miracle podium, I wonder? There's still a lap and a half to go, so you never know. But so far, it is looking as someone else has binned it. New Zealand Cam has retired in the pit, so that's good of him. So yeah, it's a close battle for second, but it's a 2-second gap to Kai. I think he's probably spaffing all of his errs just to ensure he gets that gap to secure the win. There's a lap and a half, so that why not? You may as well spaff it all now and get that pace advantage. 3 tenths between these 3 cars. Roy is using his errs. Jonas is not. Ironically, I think Jean is running probably a bit less downforce than Roy, and he didn't really gain on Jean did Roy, but neither did Jack Hickey, to be honest. So, and you can see that. Look at the gap ahead that the Alpine has pulled in. Here we go. Then you've got the car. Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm so rusty at commentating. You've got Jovial Manatee doing all he can to get ahead, and this is what I mean. Look, so they're both using their errs, but they weren't gaining. Now, once Jean stops shooting his errs, that's when Jovial Manatee gains, but that is a position for Jovial Manatee. And the way this is going, I think Jovial Manatee, I mean, it won't be the title leader, I think it will be someone, is looking good so far. Again, the dark horse of this season. He's got good pace, bar the safety car restarts. And here we go then. Jack Hickey is trying to look on Jean. Is Jean going to be able to hold on for a podium? And I think it'll actually be Jack Hickey that leads the championship after this race, as he did win the last one in his 4th at the minute, while all of his championship rivals are falling by the wayside or falling in the harbour or the wall from crashes. So yeah, and here we go. He's going to think about around the outside. He's got so much more errs than Jean. I think down this next straight with the DRS, he usually needs to spaff it all, or down the back straight too at the last corner. And here we go then. Is he going to do it? He's closing. I don't think I think he's going to wait. Is he going to wait? No, he is going up the inside. And there's a yellow flag as Mr. Chipley has crashed, unfortunately, from, I think, P7 that was, as Jack Hickey does get ahead. And unfortunate for Jonas. Very unfortunate. He literally was so close to that podium. I don't think he'll be too bothered, and actually he's coming back at Jack Hickey there. Is he going to hold it around the outside? He is, but he's got his errs deployed mid-corner, so that's going to cause understeer and loss of traction. As Kai wins, Jovial Manatee finished 2nd, Jack Hickey a close 3rd with Jonas 4th. Court just gets ahead of CJH for P5, and obviously CJH P6, Phil Bardwell a lonely P7, but I don't think he'll be too bothered with that, although he is missing a wing, so I don't know where that happened. And, Wet Lemons, another set of points, so fair play on P8 Wet Lemons. My student is learning from last season, so well done. And JD, even though I don't think he was in the race, got driver of the day. Not sure how, but yeah, whatever. And yes, so that has been your race tonight. And there we go then. A new TGP1 race winner, Kai. And by the looks of it, and by the looks of his pace, I actually think he's probably one of the quicker drivers this season. And, I keep saying Jovial Manatee is a dark horse. I think probably Kai is, to be honest. Again, so far, it's, the usual title contenders, Glock and Cam falling by the wayside. No fault of their own, I will point out, in the case of Glock. I've not really seen what instance Cam's been in too much, so I can't really advise on that. But again, consistency is key, and he does get the fastest lap as well. So there we go then. Kai, P1, his first TGP1 win. Jovial Manatee, I think, will be satisfied with P2. Jack Hickey, P3, that will be the lead of the championship, is solely in his possession. And I think it may be a decent little gap to P2. Jean-Luc Taylor, P4, nearly got a podium right at the death. Court at P5. He'll be very happy with that. Best of the rest. It's like the Mercedes this season in real life. They can't do anything other than finish behind the faster cars. CJH P6, I think he'll be okay with that. Phil Barnswell P7. Wet Lems, another set of points for him. Matt Tibos, I think, will be quite disappointed with P9 again. Not really got off to the sort of season he would hope. In terms of qualifying and then this race. JD, he wasn't there, I don't think, and he got P10. Dan the Man wasn't there and got P11. Ollie Hart, a lap down, P12. ERT Jordan wasn't there. Chiapelli, New Zealand Cam, P15. Ways, disappointing from Jack Pearson and Alistair Bain. A massive disappointment for Glock. And then Paul McGuinness rounding off the grid and the finishing position. So that has been your racing for tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope my commentary hasn't been too painful to listen to. If it has, I do apologise. We'll be back next week. It will be, I believe, Australia and Imola. So two very different characteristic style circuits. The new layout of Australia, I must point out as well. And Imola, it's just a nice circuit to drive in general. Not sure about the racing, but we will see with these new cars. But I've been your commentator, the Soft Cop. It's been a pleasure, and I hope you all have a great evening and stay safe.